Hello and welcome to the next video on Atomic Structure, Chapter 4 for Class 7. Today we are going to discuss about atoms. Now you might be thinking, what is an atom? For example, if I take a gold chain or I take some gold, maybe a gold biscuit, and I keep breaking it to the smallest possible unit, what I get is the gold itself. The particles, even after breaking to the smallest unit, are having that same property as that of gold. So the basic unit of that particle or that element gold forms an atom. So in chemistry, you can say that an atom is the smallest particle of an element. So what is an atom, or how do I define an atom? An atom is the smallest particle of an element that has all the properties of an element. So as I was giving you example of gold, if the gold is broken down, I am getting nothing but gold again. So that small particle is also gold. So it is the smallest particle of an element that is having all the properties of the element. So you can say that elements are made up of nothing but the atoms. You know that we have read in the previous chapters about that there are 118 elements which we know so far. And as each element is made up of atom, each element is having its own set of properties. Each element has number of its own unique kind of atoms. So when I talk about the structure of an atom, you have to remember then that an atom is made up of three main subatomic particles, or the fundamental particles as we can call them. Now these particles, as I have shown in the diagram here, they are the three main parts are there, what we call as proton, neutron and electron. So remember, we are having proton, we are having neutron, and we are having electron. These are the three subatomic particles of an atom. So how are they positioned in an atom? Now remember that in the center of the atom we are having a mass of atoms which is concentrated in the center, and they are called nucleus. This nucleus consists of the two things, or the two subatomic particles as we can call them, proton and neutrons. Remember what is there in the nucleus? Nucleus is made up of protons and neutrons. Also you can see I made some shells. There it's like a area or a region where the electrons are revolving. In these shells the electrons revolve. It is very much similar to the solar system, you can say. Like the sun, suppose, is forming the nucleus, and around it in the orbits the planets are revolving. This structure of an atom is very much similar to that. So we have in the center the nucleus consisting of the proton and neutrons, and around it the shells are there on which the electrons are revolving. Now you need to remember that proton carries the positive charge. Now you can easily remember that P for proton and P for positive. Now neutron has no charge. Again you see N for neutron and N for no charge, so neutral. And the nucleus is therefore positively charged because it is made up of the proton and neutron, and the proton is carrying the positive charge and the neutron is carrying no charge. Therefore the nucleus becomes positively charged, and the electrons are carrying the negative charge. The electrons revolve around in the shell consist of the what charge? Negative charge. Okay children, so if you see, this is somewhat how the atom looks like. So in the structure of an atom, remember that nucleus is in the center consisting of protons and neutron, and as neutron has no charge, it is taken as a positive charge because of the proton, and the electron has a negative charge which revolves around the shells. Now let us study about the characteristic of an atom. The number of protons in the atom is fixed for an element. You have to remember that an atom of one element has different number of atoms than the other element. So the atoms of an element are identical. Therefore, atoms of different elements are different. So if you see any example, suppose I say sodium. Sodium has 11 protons. If I talk about magnesium, it has 12 protons. Or if I talk about chlorine, they have 17 protons. The number of electrons in an atom is always equal to the number of protons, so that the atom is as a whole neutral. Now this is very important. Remember that the number of proton is equal to the number of electrons. Means the positive charge is proton and the electrons are the negative charge. So when both of them are equal, the atom becomes neutral. Atom as a whole is not having any charge. Okay. So our next point is the electrons move around the nucleus and they have negligible mass as compared to the protons and the neutrons. You need to remember that the electrons are moving around the nucleus as I showed in the previous part. And the mass of the electron is very negligible. If you compare the mass of an atom, it is actually because of the mass of the proton and neutron, because the electrons have very less mass. And the next point is the chemical behavior of an element depends upon the electrons which take part in a chemical reaction. So the behavior of an element is because of the presence of the electrons. Now let us move to molecules. You should know that all atoms, they cannot exist independently in nature. So sometimes what happens is, or you can say most of the time, one or more atoms come together to form a molecule. Now a molecule is the smallest particle of a pure substance which is capable of independent existence, which can be there independently, and it exhibits all the properties of the substance. Now the atoms in a molecules are held also together by some strong forces of attraction. Now we are going to discuss two kinds of molecules, that is molecule of the element and the molecule of the compound. When I am speaking of molecule of element, what is it? It is each molecule is made up of identical atoms. I'll be showing you some examples very soon. And molecules of compound, each molecule is made up of atoms of different elements. Then again they are combined in a fixed proportion. Then we are calling it molecules of compounds. And also remember children that the composition of the molecule is unique for each element and each compound. Like if I say the property as well, the molecules of a compound have properties that are very different from those of the constituent elements. For example, if I say carbon dioxide, you know that carbon dioxide is a gas, whereas carbon is a solid. If I talk about sodium chloride, it is a solid, while chlorine is a gas. So you see that the molecules of the compound have properties that are very different from those of the constituent elements. Next we go to molecular formula. A molecule is represented by a molecular formula. Now it can be called as a representation of an element or compound using the symbols of the element present and the number of atoms of each element in that molecule. Now for elements, remember the molecular formula is written as a symbol of the element followed by the number of atoms. Like if I write H2, 2 is showing the number of atoms and H2 is one molecule of hydrogen has 2 atoms of it. But if I talk for compounds, the symbol of each element followed by the number of atoms of that element present in the molecule will give us the molecular formula. So let us discuss. Atomicity is the total number of atoms in a molecule. Like I was telling you about the molecular formula, you will get a clear concept when we discuss this. Molecules may be monoatomic, diatomic, triatomic, polyatomic, and it depends upon the number of atoms it has. Now first let us discuss about the molecules of elements. Now when we say it is a monoatomic molecule, what does that mean? Molecules that are made up of only one atom. Then we can call it monoatomic. So it is just simply the symbols are written like helium, neon, argon. I have just written the symbol so that you can understand. So there is He. Just the symbol is showing that it is having only one atom, and that are called monoatomic molecules. So what is the atomicity of the monoatomic molecule, students? It will be 1. Then we have the diatomic molecules. A diatomic molecule is made up of 2 atoms. Many gaseous elements exist as diatomic molecules. Like if you see here, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, we are having the subscript as 2. The number in the base is 2. So that shows that the atomicity of a diatomic molecule is 2. Then we have the triatomic. From the name itself you can guess that tri means 3. A triatomic molecule is made up of 3 atoms. So the best example is ozone. We represent it as O3. So that's ozone with 3 atoms. So the atomicity of the triatomic molecule is 3. And then we have polyatomic. Poly means many. So a polyatomic molecule is made up of more than 3 atoms. So here when we are having phosphorus, P4, we are representing it with. Sulfur is written as S8. So that shows that it is having more than 3 atoms. So the atomicities are different. So if I ask you what is the atomicity of phosphorus, you will say 4. If I ask you the atomicity of sulfur, you will tell me 8. So it will depend upon the number of atoms it has. Next we go to molecules of compounds. So here you can see that we don't have monoatomic, because compounds generally are made up of at least 2 kinds of molecules. So when we are having a compound and we say that it is a diatomic molecule, that means when we add up the number of atoms in the compound, it adds up to 2. So here hydrogen is 1, chlorine is 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So it's a diatomic molecule. If I say sodium chloride, here Na is 1 and Cl is 1. So it's form a diatomic molecule. Similarly, calcium oxide, C is 1, O is 1. So it is forming diatomic molecule, remember. And when we speak about triatomic molecule, 2 atoms of, like for example, if I say water, it is having 2 atoms of hydrogen combined with 1 atom of molecule. So that's make a total of 3. So we are telling it is a triatomic molecule. Similarly, hydrogen sulfide or carbon dioxide, here carbon is 1 atom and oxygen is 2 atoms. So total is 3. So the compound is a triatomic compound. And then we go to the polyatomic molecule. For example, if I talk about hydrogen peroxide, 2 atoms of hydrogen are combining with 2 atoms of oxygen to form hydrogen peroxide. So here the atomicity is 2 plus 2, 4. So similarly, you can have different compounds which are having the number of atoms more than 3. When the number of atoms are more than 3, then we can call it a polyatomic compound. So I am very sure, students, that you have understood whatever concepts I have discussed today, like what are atoms, atoms consisting of the 3 subatomic particles, how the molecules are formed, and what is atomicity. Thank you for watching.